welcome everybody.
I got some bad news. There's a false bottom. You got less wine than you thought. There's a hole in the bottom.
We're going to welcome everybody to the Capitalists for Bernie campaign.
See, we have one of them here. Our attempt to ingratiate the business community has not succeeded, but we have.
One turn.
Here, you drop it, you pick. That is incredible. That is unbelievable.
What we're going to do tonight is we've made up, as you can see, a variety of desserts that we present here. And this young woman here, Diane Pigeon, is showing something like that, is the creator of all of these goodies. And we tried to come up with a variety of taste and a variety of textures and a variety of sweetness, tartness, and we'll then play with different wines with the, you'll take a taste of dessert, taste of wine. It should be one of the most hedonistic, disgusting, wonderful things you've ever done in your life. We have a small crowd, and we had this 1832 bottle which we were going to auction, and we still might if there's anybody here that's wants to start at about $300, which is about what we figured the empty bottle is worth. Otherwise, we'll just let it sit there till another event of this kind. And I think we're going to do this kind of one at a time. I'm going to flambe a dessert which we started using about 3 or 4 years ago in the Valley, which is one of our best PR items because it's a dessert made from crushed pears, crushed black pepper, honey, 100 proof vodka, and anisette. And it's flambéed and put on a vanilla ice cream. And people go out and they say, guess what the nut's doing now? He's putting pepper in the ice cream. And everybody runs in to see what pepper in the ice cream is all about. So, very good business. But it's also very good dessert.
Before we go further, first of all, I want to thank David for making the place available tonight, and also, as I was here before, at least it's my view, this is an extraordinarily beautiful place. I mean, this room is incredible. And I think he deserves a word of thanks, not only for tonight, but for bringing a real asset to the city of Burlington.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Best way to vote is come in today. Tell everybody else. What?
You have a ballot machine here?
Ballot machine, right. I hate. Never mind, I won't say it. Be crass. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here because we have something very unusual. This is a red dessert wine. It's one of the few in the world. And there's a very unusual grape peculiar to the United States called Zinfandel. Zinfandel is very much like what you drink in an Italian wine. It's a big, hearty grape. One of the differences is, though, that you can drink it fairly young, and Italian wines need to be like 40 years old to be really good. This is called Essence of Zinfandel. This is a white Zinfandel, which is very inexpensive, and is a really wonderful wine to drink with lunch.
David, we hesitate to ask you what relatively or very inexpensive might be. Those of us who drink $3 bottles of wine.
This is a $3 bottle of wine.
Sold to the highest bid.
That's not exactly the truth. It cost me about $3.50, so it goes on our wine list at $8 or $9, and it goes into a liquor store at $5, $6. But that certainly is a relatively inexpensive bottle of wine. The essence of Zinfandel isn't too bad. I think this probably goes in a liquor store in the teens. But let me tell you something about dessert wines and why they're expensive. They're not expensive out of snobbery. They're expensive because to produce a decent dessert wine, you have to put out something like $100,000 worth of grapes to get 500 cases of wine. And the reason for that is that the grapes are left on the vines a long time. And they're left until they are attacked by the weather and by a fungus called botrytis, which are really good dessert wines. And you get very few. The two most famous dessert wines in the world are Sauterne, and the most famous Sauterne is called Chateau de Kemp. This is considered the closest thing to a gold bar there is in wine. And the equivalent is a Trockenbeer and Auslese, which is a German version of the same wine. They're the identical process. Trockenbeer and Auslese literally means individually bunch selected rotted grapes. The term Auslese means bunch selected. The term beer and Auslese is bunch selected and grape selected, and Trockenbeer and Auslese, bunch selected, grape selected, and only the grapes that have been rotted. And the rot creates a sugar. They have to be picked at a precise time, or you don't get enough sugar if it's early, or if it's late, you end up with losing the aromas and the things that balance the sugar. It's a real tight wire act to get a decent bottle of wine. So the stuff comes out extraordinarily expensive. You buy a cheap Sauterne or equivalent, and what it is something somebody added sugar to. These are like honey versus white sugar. No hand has made these sweet. It's all done on the vine. It's all natural. And there's the Auslese is created from Riesling grapes. The Sauterne is created from what they call Semillon and Sauvignon grapes, a white version of the real classic claret grape, which is Cabernet Sauvignon. Here is an American dessert wine. No, this could be German also. It's a Gewürztraminer, and it has a we've opened one of these already. This has an herb in it, which gives it a very peculiar flavor, but it's basically a Riesling grape. This is something very unique. It's absolutely unique. I'll tell you about it in a minute. We have there's a wine, I don't guess I have it here. It's called Sweet Nancy. It's an American wine which is made from a late harvest Chenin Blanc, which is again, it's an inexpensive wine. It's half of the grapes that go into an American Chablis. An American Chablis is not Chablis at all. The only Chablis is like Champagne. It's got to be grown in France, in the Chablis country, and it's a Chardonnay grape, whereas the American Chablis is Chenin Blanc and French Collard combined. It's a fake. To be precise. The Americans are starting to change now. They're not faking things. They're not putting out French a wine and calling it a Burgundy, or a wine and calling it a Champagne. It's called Cabernet Sauvignon, which means it's the same grape basically as a Bordeaux, or it's a Pinot Noir, which is basically the same grape as a Burgundy, but they're not pretending anymore that it's the same exact wine. And some of them are as good and better, but they're not exactly the same. This is a amazing little product grown in Washington, and it's an ice wine. And what this is, it's the ultimate dessert wine because they have allowed it to sit on the vines, to be attacked, to be rotted, and then for ice to form and rot the rest of it. And so what you got left is about 1% of what was grown, and it's the only American ice wine that I know. I think there's an attempt in New York State, but I don't think anything came from it. I'm not sure. This is a New York State Riesling. New York State wines are far and few between that are really good, but some of their white wines are. This is a Johannesburg Riesling. Now they can call this Riesling when you're used to it being German because that's the grape. It's not a region. This is the most reasonable dessert wine. It's called Essentia, and it's an extraordinary. This goes for about $9, and whereas anything comparable to it is 10 times the price. And it has a very apricot. You'll detect all kinds of fruit flavors in these wines. And there are no fruits in the wines except grapes. But you'll detect apricots and berries of various kinds. They're really surprising. So we're gonna pour a little taste. If you really fall in love with something, we'll pour bigger tastes. And try the various desserts with it. Now I'm going to start off and I'm going to make this craziness that we do. And, well, there's no reason everybody has to sit around and watch me do this. Diane, why don't you, let me give you the wine to use up there. What do you use for this? We're We're going to use the Essentia, which is this very apricot-y wine. And we're going to use this, which is a French Sauterne, but very young. So it's going to be a little raw, will not be quite as sweet as a very old Sauterne. And we'll use the Gewürztraminer. And Diane can start pouring little banks of these with the strawberries and various desserts we have up here while I play down there. If anybody does want to watch this, I'll be glad to show you how to do it. Mm-hmm. No, we'll do it as we serve it, I think. This is one of the very few products that we use in this restaurant that's not a fresh product, that it's in a can. But there's no way I could sit here and do this with fresh pears. We will sit and make an entire 6-course dinner at your table for you anytime you come in if you'd like. Tell us a day or two in advance, or we'll flambe desserts or coffees or anything else you'd like at the table. Let me tell you a couple things about the restaurant in terms of our philosophies. We're obviously not a cheap restaurant. We're obviously not a restaurant that everybody, either by taste or economics, is going to come running to. But we try like hell to make it accessible to everybody with a couple of philosophies. And the philosophies all center on our main courses. Our main courses are cooked with practically no fat, butter, cream, sugar, or salt. For 3 reasons. There are 2 reasons, basically. One is health, so that anybody that comes in can know that they can eat our main course and not drop dead of a cholesterol attack or sugar attack or whatever. Secondly, we price our main courses as reasonably as we possibly can, and we price our appetizers and desserts up so that everyone can afford the main dinner, and then if people want to carry on with expensive wines and desserts, go to it. But it creates an option. There are a couple restaurants around that do the opposite, where it's a very expensive main course and very reasonable appetizers, and I haven't figured out why. Pears. Honey. When I say we use pepper, I'm not kidding. There should be enough pepper in this grinder. We don't use salt because, not only because of the health reason, but because salt really doesn't bring out flavors in food. Pepper brings out flavors in food. And I lived for a long time in New Orleans, and that's the biggest influence on our food. Ryan, go on.
Is that still pepper that he's putting in?
That's real pepper.
That's pepper. And it is coming out of the bottom. What goes down first, the arm or the pepper?
A lot of people say that they don't like anything that goes into this dish, but they still like the result. That's Anisette. Frankly, the vodka is just to make sure that the flames. There was a guy at the Sugar Machine one night that did this. Flambéed the table, the curtains, and the customers. Yeah, they ended up with a flaming lawsuit. We're still fighting.
So are you going to light that on fire?
Yeah.
I'll stand back.
This gives everything that you flambe gives off a different kind of flame. This gives off one of the nicest. In this case, one of the shortest. Usually I make this much less. Actually, it's climbing. You can't see it. I used to have a beard. This is why I don't. I've singed it a few times. Okay. Start. Use the large one. Doesn't matter what you put in. Now, when you try this, I suggest you try little bits of each of these two dessert wines. Who's first? Yeah, use the champagne glasses for the wine, and we'll use the larger ones for the tasting. Somebody's got to grab this before it melts. The spoon right there. I promise you we serve more than this.
So did you really learn to play hockey in New York City? I saw you out there today.
I'm playing hockey a long time. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's wonderful.
That's what I say, yeah.
Delicious, isn't it?
Somebody said it tastes like a Licorice jelly bean.
Beautiful.
And it's not that hot or spicy, right?
Follow me along.
You're right. Don't waste it on you. Yeah. I work at public radio. My husband.
When everybody's jumping and headed up to eat, Serena will be playing piano. Serena is wonderful. I like that.
Didn't mean a human sort of. That's what I was hearing. But I knew what you meant because I went.
dessert wine this week wasn't Manischewitz.
You don't think Manischewitz?
We do Manischewitz here one day a year. We do a Seder.
You do?
Yes.
You really do?
We always do.
Is this rotted and frozen or just rotted?
This one's not ice wine. Sometimes an ice wine is not the sweetest. Sometimes, in Vermont, for instance, when we brew a dessert wine, you get ice before the grapes have really been there long enough to become an allspice, the sweetest wine. Well, there was a time when it was because the people from Provincetown called the Red Inn that used to run it. It's been about 8 hours.
You don't do it.
We went there for Thanksgiving. We were so tired. It was very nice on Thanksgiving night. You did this year?
I did a good Thanksgiving. You always have a rule.
So brave, Dory.
I would hope you've already heard some rumors about it. Any unhappy?
Yeah, the guy said he was very
Yeah, 18 bottles.
I like that. It's about salmon.
I would like to